Hey guys, I'm cmasupra and welcome to another Company of Heroes video. It's been a while since I did one of these, even though I did two in a row last time, so yay, it's time for another one. So in this game, I'm playing as the Americans, my opponent is the Wehrmacht. We're playing on the Sturzdorf, and this just shows you a really good example of how to counter Veterancy, or Wehrmacht Veterancy rather, is Americans, and as you can see by the title, it's snipers. That's the answer, because it doesn't matter how much Veterancy you have as Wehrmacht, you cannot survive a single sniper shot unless you have KCH, Knights Cross holders, and even without Veterancy, those guys survive 2 shots from snipers, so it doesn't really matter. Veterancy helps you not at all when you're playing as Wehrmacht if your American opponent has snipers. So that's what this video is about, and the resulting game out of this is actually really, really good. And look at that guy. He has a mustache and some beard. He might need a shave because I'm pretty sure that's against army regulation. I don't actually know if it is. But yeah, the resulting game that comes, or that you're going to watch here, is actually pretty good. Snipers, I was not trying to make a game where I use snipers to counter Wehrmacht Veterancy. It just happened to go that way because my opponent got lots of Veterancy and I needed some way to counter it. So, to start off with, I built one engineer for a total of 2 engineer squads. First squad out of the barracks was a rifleman. I did not build WSC first. I know lots of people in the lower levels build WSCs first, weapon support centers, but I really don't recommend it, even at low levels. It's not very good. It's better to learn how to use rifles effectively in early range, to flank in early game, to flank your opponent's MGs and stuff like that. So, we have a little bit of action going on. There's Volksgrenadiers firing at my engineers. I'm trying to lure him and at the same time know exactly where he is, so that he doesn't bother any of my other squads. And if I know where his Volksgrenadiers are, that's his main fighting force right now. He doesn't have anything else in terms of fighting force, because I don't have anything else in terms of a fighting force, except now I do have 2 rifle squads, so he probably has 2 Volksgrenadier squads by now. So, if I know where one of them is, I don't have to worry about him harassing my other units, like my rifle squads and my engineers, so I know where he is. He is not doing much of anything. It's okay if my engineers are not doing much of anything, because my engineers cost 140 manpower, his Volksgrenadiers cost 280, so really, I am preventing him from using 140 of his manpower. I've basically cut him off from it, I guess you could say. And then I say, you hurt my engines, and I meant NGs. So, yeah, I was just trying to be funny. He didn't respond to it, sadly. Like, you're not supposed to hurt my NGs, you're supposed to let them survive and let me win this game. So, I know he has an MG and Volksgrenadiers on the left side, and that tells me the right side and the middle are open for taking, because that's his whole fighting force. So what am I doing on the map? Look at the mini-map, and you can see I am taking the middle and the right side entirely, including the high fuel point at the very right side of the map. So I'm going to be set on fuel, and I also have a plus 16 munitions, so I'm set on munitions as well. So, well, my opponent does have the left side of the map, it's not doing him much good. And then I have a rifle squad just sitting in a building, which is kind of a waste of manpower, but at the same time I was using it to check when my opponent was going to come to the right side or the middle, so I knew to prepare for it when I saw him coming at me. Then I also have a rifle squad on the left side because I'm trying to attack him, make him think, oh, I need to protect the left side, I can't afford to attack the right side. And if he thinks that, I'll have the whole right side to myself, and that's just perfect, really. So that's what I'm doing on the left side, is just making him think he has to protect it, even though he really doesn't. He'd be better off attacking the right side, I think, because I have the high fuel there, and if I had the high fuel, you don't stand much of a chance against me. So he was decapping the fuel, but then I sent engineers there, and he did successfully decap the fuel. So I'm not getting any fuel out of that point, but I'm still getting 15 fuel, and he's not getting much fuel at all. I cut him off from the fuel at the top of the map, as you can see, with this rifle squad. So he's not getting any fuel from the right side of the map. The only fuel he's getting is from the left side, that plus 10 over here on the screen, on the left side of the screen, and then also the plus 5 next to his base on the left side. And here we see barbed wire, which I was disappointed about when I saw that and I was playing this game, because barbed wire means I can't go there with my rifleman without sending an engineer squad there first to cut the barbed wire. So I am basically forced into his MG, because I know he has an MG back there. We saw it earlier in the game. I am pretty sure he hasn't moved it, because that's a pretty good spot to have it in. You should move your MG every time that your opponent sees it or finds it, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't moved it because it's just such a good spot. So I send a rifle squad behind the MG. As you can see, they're coming. You can see the fog of war disappearing, or you could have seen it disappearing at the top of the screen. Here we go. So I have a rifle squad on behind the MG, and unluckily for me, even though I have BARs, he's able to hold me off quite well, and I was not expecting this. So he did turn his MG around. That did quite a bit of damage to me. He has a Volksgrenadier squad that is doing quite well against me. He now has a sniper, so I just tell my forces to retreat because I'm not winning this battle. I did a little bit of damage, but he did more damage to me than I did to him, so I would say I pulled off a really good flank, but he was able to counter it because I made some mistakes, such as charging my front rifle squad in too early. If I had waited on my front rifle squad, the one close to my base, if I had not sent him in so early, I probably would have won that flank, because the MG would have turned around to face my other squad, then I could have sent in my front rifle squad to what was now behind the MG, and I could have won that. He would have had Volksgrenadiers still, but I think I could have easily handled them if I had done that. So I didn't do that. He survived the flank because of my mistakes. So you always have to make sure you execute your flanks correctly. Now, as you can see, I am attacking the right side of the map again, not the left side, even though I was, and his sniper is now here. That sniper was so annoying. I actually forgot, by the end of this game, I forgot he had a sniper at the beginning. So, as I was commentating this and I saw the sniper for the first time, I was like, oh, he had a sniper in my head. I didn't say it out loud, though. Maybe I should have, as if it would have really mattered. So, I now have enough fuel for the motor pool, and that's pretty much what I always do as Americans, is go BARs and then motor pool. There was some tip I wanted to give while I was doing that flank attack on the left side against his MG. There was some tip I wanted to give. I don't know what it was. I really wish I remembered, but I don't remember. So we're just going to have to accept that I don't remember it, and probably won't remember it for the rest of this game. That's just something we have to accept, right? It sucks to accept things. So, I know I mentioned the tip about always moving your MG. Maybe that was the tip. It might have been, actually. And this is a really, really poor decision by my opponent. He sent his sniper in alone, and it's now dead. He did have an MG that he was going to protect it with, but he sent the sniper in just a little too far. If the sniper hadn't moved forward maybe, I don't know, 2 extra meters in that, he may have survived, but instead he sent the sniper a little too far forward. And the sniper is now dead, so yay, 340 manpower down the drain for him, although it did help him win that battle where I flanked on the left side and failed. Sniper did definitely help there, so it's not really 340 manpower down the drain. It did help some. I am attacking the middle, or not the middle, the left side, as you may notice. And the reason I'm doing it, again, is because I want him to think he has to protect it. And if he's too busy protecting it, then he's not going to bother me on the right side. And as you can see, that's not working out too well, because he is attacking me on the right side. He's capturing my points. It's not what I want him to do, but it is what he's doing. So I have to deal with that, and it's not much fun, because I have to chase his infantry around the map. Luckily, my riflemen do have BARs, because that's what I go for first, before an M8 usually. Sadly, BARs cannot handle MGs. But the reason I was saying I have BARs, and that's a good thing, is because I can send just one rifle squad to the right side, and it'll pretty much handle anything that he has over there, except for MGs. At this point in the game, he's not going to have like tanks over there at this point in the game. There's no chance of that. He has not held the high fuel at all this game. I've had it for a lot of the game. He did decap me from it for a little while, but I've had it for a lot of the game, he's still had it for none of the game. So I can just send one rifle squad to the right side and be good to go. So now we see our first Grenadier squad, and that's when I know he's gone tier 2 or he has a med bunker, one of the two. I don't actually know which one it is. I won't spoil it which one it is. I do know which one it is as I'm commentating this, but I won't say what it is so that you can get a full idea of what I'm dealing with. So he's either gone tier 2 or has a med bunker. He has a Panzerschreck on the Grenadier squad. My riflemen are able to easily deal with Grenadiers with Panzerschrecks. This is actually something I'm starting to realize in the game. It only took me, what year is this, 2013? 7 years to figure it out. Well, I guess more like 6 years, because this game came out in late 2006, 2006, I think. I think it came out in late 2006, not early 2006, so... where was I going? My mind just went blank. Oh yeah, it took me 6 years to realize that a Grenadier squad with the Panzerschreck they lost 25% of their fighting capability, so they're no longer very good at fighting infantry. I mean, they're still decent, but they're not very good. So I should stop buying as many Panzerschrecks as I do normally. Like, I used to put a Panzerschreck on every single Grenadier squad I bought. That was back when I sucked at the game. And then I started getting better, and I started realizing I shouldn't put a Panzerschreck on every single Grenadier I buy. And then I've slowly gotten better to where I put it on like 1 or 2. So it only took me 6 years to realize that, but you don't need Panzerschrecks on every single Grenadier squad. You should keep their infantry fighting power and not put Panzerschrecks on a lot of them. So now we have a battle going on, I guess you could say. My M8 is fully repaired. It was being shot at by a PaK-38. My opponent just lost a Pioneer squad. My opponent loses a lot of Pioneer squads this game, I will say that. At least at the beginning and the middle of the game. He doesn't seem to do a very good job of keeping them alive. He has the same problem I have, where, well, I guess it's a similar problem, not the same problem. I usually retreat my squads too late. He doesn't retreat them at all, his Pioneer squads, which means his reaction time is just a little bit low. I do want to mention this. My screen's not looking at it right now, but on the left side there's that barbed wire in front of the fuel point, remember? And I'm going to use that to my advantage here. He has MP40s, but MP40s suck at range. So basically, I'm going to back up my rifleman behind the barbed wire, and he can't shoot at me at close range, and he can't get close in to me, because the barbed wire's in the way. So I'm basically using his barbed wire against him, and look at this! 2 mines in a row. One of those was mine, one of those was his. Go back and watch that if you missed it as I was talking about the barbed wire. Just go back and watch what happened there. I'll give you a hint. I first ran over his mine, and then he ran over my mine, and the end result was a lost rifle squad. But go back and watch it, for real. I think that was worth watching again and again and again. It's just so funny that that happened. He even managed to place a mine on top of my mine without blowing up my mine. That was quite interesting. Well, I mean, not literally on top, but next to it, and he didn't even touch my mine. That would have been funny if he blew up on my mine attempting to place his mine. He might have had his mine there first. I'm pretty sure he didn't, though, because I had the right side. So he probably placed it on top of mine. He placed his mine on top of mine. My mine. Wow, so many M-I-N-E words. So let's go back to the game. I now have a mortar. I have gotten the first upgrade on the supply yard because I know I'm going rifle heavy. I should do that. And if you don't know what that does, it basically decreases your upkeep. I talked about this many months ago a few times, so I'll talk about it again. Basically, each single individual man that you have in existence costs you a little bit of manpower per minute. And the amount it costs you depends on what squad they're part of. Basically what squad they're part of. So like, riflemen have a mediocre upkeep. They cost you semi a lot, but also semi kind of a lot, kind of not a lot. Engineers cost you a lot per man. And it's per man, not per squad. So if you have a one-man rifle squad, it's like you have a one rifleman is costing you upkeep. Americans have huge upkeep compared to the other 3 factions. Wehrmacht have the least upkeep. It may actually be Panzer Elite, actually, because I feel like I've had 290 manpower per minute and higher as Panzer Elite, so maybe Panzer Elite has the lowest upkeep. I just lost an engineer squad there. But yeah, Americans have the highest upkeep. Wehrmacht, Panzer Elite both have low. Brits, I'm not really sure. I haven't actually paid much attention to their upkeep. So, where was I going with the upkeep? Oh yeah, the supply yard, what it does. So it reduces the upkeep per man. It also makes you get veterancy faster, so as your riflemen kill enemies, they'll get veterancy. And by default, I think it takes 8 points to get veterancy, level 1 veterancy on your rifle squad. So a single Volksgrenadier man is 1 point, a single Grenadier man is 1 point, a single Knight's Cross holder man is like 2 or 3, a single sniper is like 4, I don't really know. It may not be 4, maybe 1 for all I know, but say it's 4. If you kill 2 snipers with the rifleman squad, that's 4 points each for a total of 8, which means they get Vet 1. So it reduces the number of points they need for veterancy, so you get veterancy faster. I don't know what happens if you have like 7 points and then you get the upkeep on the supply yard and it becomes you need 7 for veterancy 1. I don't know if it actually you need 7 if you get the first supply yard upgrade, but let's say you do. I don't know what happens if you have 7. Maybe you just need 1 more kill to activate it. I really have no idea. But that's what the supply yard does. It makes you get veterancy faster and it reduces your upkeep. So you have more manpower income per minute, and it's very good to get that if you think you're going to go infantry heavy. I didn't talk about vehicles. I don't know what vehicle upkeep is, if they have any upkeep at all. They probably do. I don't have a clue what it is, though. And the supply yard probably helps with their upkeep, I'm sure. It most likely would. I can't imagine it not doing that. So, going back to the game again, I have a sniper now. And while I was explaining the supply yard, I apparently managed to build a WSC, build a sniper, and get it out in the field. So I took a while to explain that, didn't I? I guess I did. So the reason I went with the sniper is because, as you saw, my opponent's starting to get veterancy, and I need some way to counter it. So the best thing to do is to get a sniper. And here I see he's gone defensive, so he will have extended sight range on his points, so he can see me from farther away, which means he will be able to see me before I see him, most likely, at any point in time. So that's something to keep in mind. If your opponent has gone defensive, keep in mind that they can probably see you far before you see them if you're going into their territory. Because of the simple fact that the first item on the right side of defensive is the extended line of sight around the points. In case you're wondering how I knew he went defensive, it's because I can recognize artillery by how it comes down. He was obviously using defensive artillery there, which costs 125 munitions, and I'm not talking about the one that costs 200 munitions on the very end of one of the sides. I can't remember if the left side or the right side of defensive, but at the very end of defensive, there's some artillery that costs 200 munitions, and that artillery is awesome. It is so deadly. Always has been. I'm talking about the 125 munition artillery that he sent down on me. That's how I know he was defensive. And memorizing artillery is actually a very good thing to do. If you want to play just like a random skirmish against an easy AI and just test out different artillery, you should really do that, because if you can memorize what artillery looks like you can know when to use that artillery, and you can also know what your opponent, which doctrine they've gone, if you can recognize the artillery. So it's very helpful. Before I learned to memorize artillery, I was always wondering, this doctrine has artillery, I wonder what this artillery does. Oh, it sucks. I needed the other artillery that I'm thinking of against this unit that I'm putting artillery down on. And you really just overall do worse if you don't know which artillery is what. Now, the American artillery is not nearly as good as either artillery of defense that defensive doctrine has. Well, let me try that again. The American artillery is not as good as either of the 2 artilleries that defensive doctrine gets. One of them's called defensive artillery, costs 125 munitions. I don't know what the other one's called. rocket barrage, maybe? It might be that. But yeah, the American artillery is really not that great, although I usually do like it a lot when I'm playing the infantry company. I don't play infantry company for the Rangers most of the time. Every once in a while I do, but normally it's for the artillery. And you probably noticed this, but my opponent called me a cheating noob. I just didn't respond to it. It's like, really? I'm a cheating noob because my sniper's annihilating you? I don't think so. My sniper's killed all the 2 guys and I said he's annihilating him. Wow. My sniper is not annihilating him, but he called me a cheating noob for some reason. And I was playing this game, I thought it was because of my sniper, but maybe it wasn't, considering it's killed all of 2 guys. But I do have a second sniper out on the field. And this is a game changer. Now, 1 sniper, he won't like it, he'll try to counter it and all. 2 snipers against his Veterancy, and he will do his absolute best to make sure they're dead, because if you have 2 snipers and he sends a grenadier squad in to attack you, each sniper fires 1 shot, that's half his squad dead. He's lost 50% of his fighting capability, and if I fire 1 more volley with my snipers, the whole squad will die, so he has to retreat. That unit is now useless, so 2 snipers is when he really, really wants to kill those snipers. And as we'll see in this game, he does really, really want to kill these snipers, and you'll see just how desperate he gets, how much manpower he wastes trying to kill the snipers. It's truly amazing. It really is. I'll show it to you when the time comes. I just lost my Vet 2 M8. That sucks. Losing a Vet 2 unit always sucks. But I wasn't too disappointed with it because he has so many Panzerschrecks on his Grenadiers that it's really not that big of a deal to me. He has so much anti-tank that I really don't need anti-tank, or I don't need tanks, vehicles, stuff like that. So here's a good example of how to use your snipers. You have them cloaked, you have them uncloaked until they reach the battlefield, then you cloak them and use them to attack your opponent. Although when they're standing in fire, it's a good idea to retreat them, as you just saw with that 1 sniper. That was a Nebelwerfer barrage, Nebelwerfer, and that tells me that he has gone tier 1, 2, and 3, not quite 4 yet. So he has the Wehrmacht quarters, the Kriegs barracks, and the Sturm armory. Now look at this bike, it's chasing my sniper all the way into my base, and that is not very smart. He's really, really desperate to kill these snipers. He just lost his bike. My rifleman squad got Vet 2, so he's lost 180 manpower right there just chasing my sniper. I did him no good, except to give him visibility of my base, which may or may not help him. I don't have anything he doesn't already know I have. He's seen units from the motor pool, he's seen units from... Here's more defensive artillery. But he's seen units from the WSC, he's seen units from the barracks, he's seen units from the HQ. The only really new thing is the healing building, whatever that thing is called. I seem to have forgotten what it's called. So he didn't learn anything by seeing my base. All he did was lose 180 manpower by chasing my sniper. So he, as you can tell, he really, really wants those snipers dead. I don't know if he knows I have 2 snipers. He probably does, considering he saw 1 retreat and then he chased the other one. But I don't know that he saw the first one retreat, because it was a little bit earlier than when he chased the second one. But I assume he knows that I have 2, and that's why he wants them dead so badly. He also probably knows that they're really good against Veterancy, because Veterancy does nothing against snipers. So I managed to send both my snipers forward again, because he's not doing any damage to them, and he's not really pushing me back. So I've gone forward, and I'm now sniping him again. He retreated his Grenadier squad because he knows 1 more volley from those snipers and that squad is lost. That's 300 manpower lost entirely. And here's a bike again, but I have supporting fire from my riflemen, just as you should always have. And then he chases me back into my base for the killing blow to my snipers, but I have Rangers there, which means he has no chance of surviving. There it goes. So now he's throwing down artillery, and this is really, really bad because the defensive artillery is really, really strong. Just watch this. Look at all that. It is so strong for 200 munitions. Luckily, I do manage to avoid it with my squads because I saw the red flares coming down. I did lose my medic thing, the healing building. I didn't actually notice it. I was like, I feel like I had something in that hole in my base, but I don't know what it was because all my buildings are here. So I was like, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. And later on in the game, I realized, oh, I'm missing my healing building. That's why my squads are so weak. So he did kill something with that 200 munitions. Unluckily for him, he didn't kill my snipers or any of my infantry squads. He just hurt 200 manpower and 20 fuel, which is how much it costs to build the medic thing. So I guess he really gained some by chasing me into my base with his bike. Let me think about what I'm trying to say here. But he didn't gain very much. I mean, he gained 20 manpower and 20 munitions, but he lost 200 munitions. He gained 20 manpower and 20 fuel, because that's the difference between the bike cost and the cost to build the building. But he lost 200 munitions in the process, and that was just unlucky for me. I was trying to keep my snipers there to annihilate his grenadier squad, but he got a lucky shot off with the Panzerschreck and killed my snipers, so that was just really unlucky for me. And here's this mortar owning this grenadier squad. So I lost one sniper, sadly. I only have one now, and I'm going to build another one, I'm pretty sure, sometime soon. I was afraid of losing this rifle squad. They only have 2 men left. They started with 6, so he obviously did some damage to them, but they managed to win the battle. He retreated, which I found quite interesting. I still don't know how they took so much damage. Maybe they took the damage while entering the building. I have no idea. But I retreated the 2-man rifle squad after my opponent retreated his 2-man Volksgrenadier squad. And there's my lonely sniper. I don't have a second sniper anymore, although I just started building one. So I'm building a second sniper because I know that if I have 2 snipers, I am far more effective against my opponent than if I have only one. And here's some more defensive artillery for 125 munitions. He must have a ton of munitions income, because he's done, what, 3 defensive artillery things? That's 375 plus 1 rocket barrage, which is 575 total, because it's 200 for the rocket barrage. So he spent 575 munitions. I have a plus 37 income per minute, which is really, really good for munitions. And I only have 376 munitions, so he must have quite a bit of income. And I'll go ahead and tell you it's because he OP'd the munitions point at the very top of the map, that plus 16 or 10, I don't know what it is. Here's when I realized I lost my medic building, or healing building, not my medic building. But yeah, he did OP the munitions point at the very top of the map. I don't know if it's a plus 5 or plus 16, but that's the reason he had so many munitions. So now we see Tier 4 out. He's built the Tier 4 building, whatever that thing is called. I'm forgetting so many building names because I always call them by tier. And the buildings that are not part of a tier, like the Veterancy building for Wehrmacht, I just think of them as Veterancy or Supply Yard or Healing Building as Americans. So yeah, I don't really think of building names. Just call them by tier, which I'm sure a lot of you do as well if you've been playing for a long time. And if you don't call them by tier names, I recommend you start doing that because that's how you should really think of them. Yeah, you should really think of them as tiers, and sometimes you down tech, sometimes you up tech. Normally you up tech, but sometimes you go down teching, like maybe you build as Wehrmacht, you go Wehrmacht quarters, which is tier 1, and then Sturm Armory, which is tier 3. But then you're like, oh, I need packs. I need pack 38, so you down tech to tier 2, even though you've already built tier 3. And so yeah, that's one example of down teching. It's actually really common to do that. If you did go tier 3 first as Wehrmacht, it's very common that you down tech to tier 2 for the packs and the grenadiers and the mortar. Those are the 3 you really need from there. I guess going back to the game, again, I keep going off on a tangent, but that's probably a good thing because you're learning a lot from this. I do have the left side. I no longer have the right side, so it's kind of like we switched from the beginning. I had the middle and right, now I have the left and the middle. We just swapped left and right, I guess. So, that's funny. Just something totally random, but funny. And he has gone tier 4. I was going to say more on that. So he has gone tier 4. I have no way to really counter that. So I do have a motor pool, so I just say, let's build an AT gun, and hopefully that'll be enough to counter it, because I don't expect him to have much from tier 4. Little do I know, he has the right fuel point, so he's actually going to have a lot from tier 4. But I do have sticky grenades, I do have an AT gun, I do have some ranger squads, so I would say I'm pretty decently set up for AT. I don't think I actually killed a single one of his tanks in this game. I just made him, I just kept making him retreat his tanks because I kept doing so much damage that if he stuck around, he would have lost them. But yeah, I don't think that I killed any of his tanks. So here's my AT gun, my first AT gun. I tell him to use armor-piercing shells because I really, really want to kill this Panzer IV before it disappears. Sadly, though, it doesn't happen, because he does back away fast enough and he gets a lucky shot on one of the crew members, so they have to take time to reinforce, or rather reman the gun itself. Here's my snipers doing really well, and here we have another bike, the third bike that has come to kill the snipers. And by a lucky, lucky bazooka shot from my rangers kills the bike. So that's 3 bikes down while he tries to kill my snipers. He's trying so desperately to kill them. 3 bikes is 3 times 180, which is 3 times 200 is 600 minus 60. 540 manpower to kill 2 snipers for a total of 680. Or that cost me a total of 200. Wow. That's 2 snipers cost me a total of 680 manpower, 340 each. But his 3 bikes cost him 540. So he's 140 manpower away from breaking even on our costs. So I would say I'm doing pretty well with my snipers. He is trying so desperately to kill them. Even if they're not killing that many units, it's just his fear of the snipers and the fact that if they both fire a single volley, he's lost half of a squad already and that squad has to retreat. So it's hurting him quite a bit. There's also the fact that his veterancy is not helping him at all. Now, I do want to talk about the things my opponent did correctly, and because the only reason I want to do this is because I think this will really help you guys. If you are playing as Wehrmacht and you get veterancy, you start getting veterancy on your infantry, the smart thing to do is, as Americans, is to get snipers, because snipers, it doesn't matter how much veterancy the Wehrmacht player has, snipers will kill individual men in 1 shot. Now, when the Wehrmacht player sees the opponent has snipers, he should know not to buy any more veterancy because it's not going to help him at all against the snipers. And look at this double grenade. We just throw grenades at each other. I don't know who's did more damage, but I got veterancy for it. But going back to what I was saying, the correct response to seeing American snipers as Wehrmacht after you see the veterancy, or actually after you get the veterancy, is to go tier 4 or tier 3 for vehicles, because snipers can't do anything against vehicles. So the American player can predict this and plan accordingly, as I did. I got stickies, I got rangers, then his vehicles showed up, and then I got an AT gun. So I would say I did a good job of countering him. So basically it goes, Wehrmacht player gets a veterancy on his infantry, the American player reacts with snipers, and then the Wehrmacht player reacts to the snipers by getting vehicles. So that's what I did, that's what he did. We both played it to the book, exactly. The only difference is I outplayed him with my snipers because he couldn't kill them. He spent so much manpower trying to kill them in this game. And then I also predicted his vehicles coming out at the end of the game, so, or actually later in the game. As you can see, this is quite late in the game. It's been over half an hour. So I predicted his vehicles, and I was able to counter them, and at this point I don't really know what the correct counter would be, because I've countered everything he has. I've countered infantry with my 2 snipers, I've countered vehicles with my rangers, my sticky grenades, and my AT gun. He could go artillery, which, spoiler, as I commonly do in these games, he does go for artillery. So I guess we're both playing this to the book. Like, it's a common classic strategy that we're both using, and we're both doing it to the book, so we both know what to expect from the opponent. Except he didn't expect me to have so much AT, I think. Although I never killed one of his tanks, so maybe I didn't have that much AT. So he does get artillery, like I said, and I wanted to expand on that. He goes for Nebelwerfers, which is tier 3, so even though he's built tier 4 units, and you would normally think tier 3 is now useless because you don't need the Stug, you don't need the Puma, you have instead, you have an Ostwind and Panzer IV, and Panther if you're really feeling rich. So he doesn't really need tier 3, that's what you'd normally think, but that's not true. You do need tier 3 still for the officer and the Nebelwerfer. So he does go back to tier 3, which is very smart of him. And I was not expecting this because, as I mentioned earlier, I don't really know what the next step is after I counter his tanks. What's the next step for him to do? I don't really know, but he goes artillery, which is the only possibility I can think of right now as I'm commentating this. And I was playing the game, I couldn't think of any possibility that would come next, so I was not expecting his artillery. But he does get artillery, he gets more. He has a total of 2 Nebelwerfers at the end of this game. So we'll have to see how well he does with those things. My M10 is almost dead. It really should be dead by now, considering how many shots have hit it, but I got the 5% feature on it by chance. So I do have a dead gun on it, but it's still alive. And I send my engineers to repair it pretty soon if they're not already sent. Yeah, they're not sent to I haven't sent them to it yet. There we go. Having trouble talking today. So there's a Nebelwerfer fire, and that's actually 2 Nebelwerfers firing at me. You can see 2 red triangles on the mini-map from where that came from. And look at this annihilation. That's a Knight's Crossholder squad with Vet 2, annihilated by 2 snipers, and what is now a Vet 3 rifle squad. Yeah, snipers are awesome. They only kill half a man on the Knight's Crossholders squad per shot, because each of the 3 men in the squad have a lot of health, but even just 1 sniper shot against them will help you tremendously, because that halves the health of one of their men. They basically are down to 5/6 of their health, and they're not really strong to begin with. They really aren't. They used to be really, really strong. Now they're pretty much worthless against, unless you have, well, they're pretty much worthless unless you have Vet 3 on them. So, of course I say that, but then I remember in my head a time when they they beat me with Vet 1 only. So maybe they're not quite worthless, but alone, if you send 1 squad, they're pretty useless without Vet 3. If you send like 3 of them, 3 squads together, they're pretty useful. They will annihilate your opponent's stuff, but that's quite expensive. 360 times 3 is how much manpower it would cost for 3 of those squads, so that's quite expensive. But it kind of is worth it. Overall, I would say that Vet 3 is still more worth it because it's expensive to reinforce Knight's Crossholders. I don't know how much it costs, but I know it's expensive. Costs a ton. And here's my snipers annihilating a Grenadier squad. He had no choice but to retreat. Even if my riflemen were not there fighting him, my snipers still would have owned him. And here comes some Nebelwerfer fire to just kill my snipers. I intelligently split them up, which is actually something I didn't want to do this whole game. I wanted to keep them together because then I could always have them supporting each other, and I could kill off half of one of his units at a single time. But I did split them up intelligently because he sent down artillery right in between them, so I didn't have much of a choice. So I have the left side, the middle, and somewhat the right side. Here's a grenade move. They don't respawn because of lag, so they do take damage from the grenade. But then I throw a grenade of my own, and apparently I don't actually throw it. It's just yellow because I'm going to throw it or something. But he does retreat before I throw it, so it's just like, hey, I saved myself 25 manpower. Not manpower, munitions. And here we have an off-map combat group, the second one this game. What did I get? 2 AT guns, an MG, and a rifleman squad. So I tell my 2 AT guns to basically defend the left side of the map, the left victory point. And I send my MG into the middle house at the top of your screen there. The very, very top, right here, the main thing on the screen. That central house on the map, basically. And I don't know what to tell my rifleman squad to do, but I send them somewhere and, hey, here's the opponent's sniper. He built another one and just lost it. He did actually kill something with the sniper earlier in the game. He built it a little bit before and it killed something. I don't know what it was. But I destroyed a sniper now, so yay! I didn't even lose a sniper in the process. I'm not so sure that was the smartest idea for him to show his sniper like that. Because I already knew, when I was playing this game, I already knew he had a sniper. And the reason I knew that is because he killed one of my units with it. But, well, I guess I knew he had a sniper, but I didn't do anything correctly to show that I knew he had a sniper. Like, if my opponent has a sniper, what I should do is put both my snipers on hold fire, and wait for his sniper to shoot first, and then when his sniper shoots, I can use both my snipers to snipe him. That's really the correct thing to do. However, because I had 2 snipers, ooh, that's just unlucky for him right there. But because I had 2 snipers, I didn't really do that because I figured if he snipes one of my snipers, I'm going to snipe him back with my other snipers, so I don't really have to worry. And so I didn't respond really correctly against his sniper. Because I didn't have to, really. And he now has 3 victory points. I say GG, and that's the end of the game. So I would say my snipers won the game. And one of them has 7 kills, the other one had 22. As you will see later in this thing where I go around looking at everything around the map. You can't click on the snipers, which I wish you could, but you can't. Instead, you have to go to the right side, where the blue icons are, right side of the screen, and click on them there, and then you can see what stats they had. I just learned that for the first time when I was playing this game. It's like, oh, I can click there and see how many kills they had. So it's 7 and 22. So, yeah, my snipers did a lot. 22 kills on one sniper, got him Vet 3. And at Vet 3, they can move at full speed while cloaked, so that's just awesome. 22 kills times, let's say it was 28 manpower to reinforce per man for him, because I think it was, for Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers, so 28 times 22 is, let me get my calculator, or rather let me get my phone, unlock it, and then go to the calculator app. 22 times 28 is 616 manpower. So that one sniper killed 616 manpower worth of units, and that's assuming that they were 28 manpower to reinforce per man, and that he didn't lose any full squads. So I probably did more than that. It's probably more like more like 700 manpower probably in the end. So that's quite a bit of damage. Even 680 manpower would be the sniper paying for himself twice over. And then I had 2 other snipers in there as well, one of which died. Here's where I realized that I could click on the snipers. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. Keep clicking back and forth. 22 kills and 7 kills. So, yeah. Yeah, my snipers basically won that battle for me. And that's basically what you have to do against Wehrmacht when they get veterancy, is you have to get snipers. And then their response will be to get tanks. And then your response will be to get anti-tank. And then his response will be to use artillery to kill your anti-tank so he can use his tanks. Or to kill your snipers, as they can do. His artillery actually almost killed my snipers multiple times. So he just got unlucky there. Or I was really smart there and managed to keep my snipers alive, one of the two. But, yeah, that's just how awesome snipers are against Veterancy when you're playing as Americans against a Wehrmacht player. I don't really have anything else to talk about. There we go, ending screen with points, so I can end the video already. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to talk about, but I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you all learned something about the by-the-book strategy that always seems to work well as long as you are better than your opponent. It actually works really well even if you're not better than your opponent, as long as they don't know the book strategy. It works really, really well. There's a reason it's the book strategy. There's a reason that it's not some other strategy that's the book strategy. It's because this one works really, really well. So as I said, hope you all enjoyed, hope you learned something, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys. The main thing I want to teach is, as it says in the title of the video, how to counter snipers as Panzer Elite, because this is a topic that before this game that you're watching right now, I could never figure out how to do it. I just never sat down and thought about it.